Hey everybody, it's Zach Clayton. I am here with one of our silver partners, a great friend. She has introduced us to quite a few people already, and we greatly appreciate that. It's Tanya Lego. Legault. Sorry, Lego. There we go. We were talking about him, and then it just comes out. Tanya Legault. How are you doing today, sweetie?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Zach. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Well, it's we're extremely happy to have you with with us, and you're bringing along something that's very special because we don't have anybody in the trading world until now. So we're excited to have you. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring you on is because I think it's very important that we talk to people about something that, a lot of us know what it is, but we don't know about it. What is trading?
That's a great question. And this is the fundamentals, right? So, trading is the buying or selling of a stock, maybe of a currency, perhaps a commodity like oil or gold, or maybe if you're a little more adventurous, it could be cryptocurrency. So, regardless of your preference, if you are buying and selling or buying and holding for that market to go up and a profit to hit your pocket, that would be considered trading.
Uh, Cryptocurrency is something that kind of freaks me out a little bit. It I'm not sure if I would ever touch it, and I know people love it. I know people love it, and God love them. It's If it's for you, go for it. I just, it started as a game, and it's just weird to me that it's now a huge thing. So do you have a lot of people who are really, I guess, sheepish when it comes to crypto, or like going, you know what, i'll I'll take some risks, but I don't want to go anywhere near that stuff. It's not going to be here in 5 years. It's going to be like a Yugo in the car world. And this is probably before you were born, but Yugo lasted for what, 3 years? They decided to get rid of it. So, but are people sheepish when it comes to crypto?
It's a great divide almost, but it's a friendly divide. And the reason I say that is it very much aligns with people's personalities. So if someone is quite avant-garde, maybe quite audacious, social, etc., they'll be all over this cryptocurrency space. However, if a person's more reserved, likes to see things play out, they might err more on the side of the traditional trading market. And that's okay because, look, I, for myself, don't trade cryptocurrency. I use cryptocurrency to complete different transactions. So, also, that's another element, Zach, where a person doesn't have to associate themselves with crypto in order to do trading. They could utilize cryptocurrency to accomplish different transactions or activities, so to speak.
Okay, one of the things that is really scary right now, Tanya, is we have a culture right now of a lot of money criminals. There's a lot of people getting scammed out of everything. There's a lot of people who lose everything. How and where on your website can people go? And please give us your website first, but then where can they go to find out more? Because we want to make sure that people understand that, what, you're safe here. This isn't, look, yeah, we want your money, but we want you to make more money than you're giving us. So, how do we do that?
Absolutely. Cyber security, cyber safety, financial safety, that is the holy grail. So, to begin, Individuals can visit our website. It's toptierconsult.ca. So I do apologize. The cat is out of the bag. We are based out of Canada. However, we will do business gladly with the United States and other parts of the world. And on that website, there is a button at the top. It's called services. And so you can see the services that we offer. And there's a section dedicated to trading. And that's where you can learn about what we do, get the website for the a training program that we offer specifically, browse around. And just to inform all the listeners and viewers today, Zach, I can tell them that the training that we offer was a merge. It's an international conglomerate of experts in the respective fields. So we just talked about cryptocurrency. Not everyone is specialized in that. So we took the experts that are actually from Australia in order to offer that insight. Then you have individuals from Latin America as well as the United States talking about more that foreign exchange, Forex, as it's called, side of the coin. So that's where individuals can obtain information. And look, we're in a beautiful community here. If their questions are not answered, there is a contact form on that same website. So toptierconsult.ca. Send us a message. We will meet with you because like you mentioned, Zach, we're not here to take anyone's money. We are here to educate, to financially elevate your literacy. And as a result, you can ask questions before you take any action. So thank you so much, Zach, for pulling it up so we can see this is the main landing page. And at the top, you've got your book a meeting link if you did want to speak with us. You've got the contact form as well. And right next to that, you've got those services. So that's exactly where you go to get your questions answered. And right there at the top, earning money, that's where you can learn more about that side of things. And just to kind of inform the audience, the prices are listed in Canadian dollars. So for you American folks, the price will be less than what is offered or listed on the page. And again, more details are available. So if you have these, we call them me problems, this is a situation pertinent to you specifically, please reach out, ask away. We'll be delighted to answer your question and help you make an informed decision.
I love the fact that right here on your website you've got the inclusion part and the you've mentioned veterans and people with disabilities along with LGBTQ plus. That inclusion is something that um, we're really trying to push because it's one of those things that, you know what, and I talk about this to everybody, Tanya. I believe that you and I even talked about it at one point in time. There's only one race in the world, and that's the human
Yes.
race. And we need to stop worrying about who or what someone else is. We need to celebrate who we all are, because every single one of us has something that's a little bit different. So, and I'll be completely and totally honest with you. I think, and yeah, this is my own opinion, but if I were to meet somebody who is exactly like me, I would deplore that. I would just be like, oh God, get the hell away from me. You know, there's one of me, and I'm proud of that. So, I mean, I just don't think I would like somebody who's just like me. So I love the fact that you guys have people on there that the inclusion and everything. You mentioned Canadian money, okay? And this is something that's going to confuse people a little bit because the US dollar is how the world looks at financial. That's the reason why it's, I mean, everything is compared to the strength of the dollar. We don't know how long that's going to last. I'll be honest with you. The way things are going here in America, we might be comparing it to yen here before too long. But um, you guys trade in the U.S. stock exchange, though, so it's not like we're trading in a different area where people don't understand the rules. It's not like you're trading in Canada and the money comes up different and things are going like that. You guys are trading in the US stock exchange.
Absolutely. So, to put everyone at ease, whether you live in the United States of America, Canada, or another country, what we do is offer trading education. So, we will equip an individual with the knowledge that they need to understand the market, to know when to enter, manage their risk so they don't lose their money, and certain strategies they can apply. Now, this is super appropriate for a beginner, someone who says, I have no idea what trading is except the definition Tanya gave me. And if you're more advanced and you know these basics, but you're challenged on the profit side, we have more advanced content for that as well. So we are education at its core. We are not a hedge fund. So we won't take your money and say we are putting it in the stock exchange for you. So given that we provide knowledge, information, guidance, the individual, the trader themselves are the ones who will open up their account, fund it with their own money, and trade it when they want. So as a result, if you are, for example, I'll take the veterans. Maybe they are at home and they have certain medical follow-ups to do or some paperwork to do with the Veteran Association. Well, they might be occupied during the New York Stock Exchange. That's okay, because the way the market works is it runs 24 hours a day. So a veteran, for example, to continue with my analogy, could trade in the morning before the New York Stock Exchange opened. So let's say 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that would have them trading on the London Stock Exchange. So there's no feature on your app or the website that you use to trade to say, hey, you are trading in this time zone or in this stock exchange, because everything is traded in the market. So that's not an issue, but it's just to illustrate that the flexibility or versatility of the trading world, where you don't have to be like a 9 to 5. The market is just open here, that's all I can do. But to come back to your point, Zach, regardless of if you're trading on the London hours, for example, or Australian market hours, your money remains in the currency that you put it. So if I, for example, live, you're parading a shirt of Colorado, Zach, so we're going to use Colorado State. If I live in Colorado and it is, for example, 6 p.m. Colorado time, now, the New York Stock Exchange is closed,
Yep.
but I want to start trading because, I've just eaten. I'm ready to conquer the evening. So I might get into the market, and that would mean that I am participating on that Australian Asian market. That's okay because I live in America. My account is in American dollars. My trades will be in American dollars. I'll take profit in that currency as well. I'm simply leveraging or utilizing the activity of another market that's currently active when I want to trade. So it's, if I use a car analogy, you'll keep your own vehicle, you're just driving on a different highway. But as we say, all roads lead to Rome. So you're still going to get to your destination, which is profit, right? So that's some food for thought for the community here.
Okay, and that leads to my last business question, and it's a very simple one. Does it take a lot of money to begin? How much I mean, how difficult is it for somebody to get into this? Because, everybody right now, and especially here in America, we're being told there's this recession coming up that, oh my God, you got one side of the country that's saying everything's going to hell, everything's just in bad shape, and the other side's going, we're better than we've ever been. And it's like going, okay, guys, well, you know what? It's probably not either. We're probably right in the middle. So, which is where we're really at. Things aren't terrible, but they're not great. Um, so how much money, and everybody's a little bit scared. How much money does it, or does it take a lot of money? I'm not going to ask how much, but does it take a lot of money to get started?
It does not. And I love this question, Zach. And I'll give some figures because I also don't want people to associate their definition of a lot or little
Mm-hmm.
to what I'm saying. So if an individual starts with $100 US, that will allow them to participate in the market. And when I say that, it's because when you're placing a trade, the market might go up, it might go down. And if you have $30, for example, you don't have enough wiggle room in your account to tolerate or sustain that up and down. Think of it like a roller coaster. You're not going to put a small child or a toddler on a huge roller coaster that goes, 60 miles a minute. The child's thorax would be squashed from just the whiplash. So that's why we would recommend $100 account. However, if a person wants $1,000 and they have that disposable income, because we also don't want you to sell your car if you need it to commute in
Mm-hmm.
order to start trading, then you have more wiggle room and the growth will be faster. However, just to illustrate that American dream, Zach, if you take $100 and you trade it on a consistent basis, so take the 5 days of the week where the market is open, and you make 3% gain per day. So for those of you who are like, I hate math, why is she talking numbers? I'll talk dollars. If you have $100 and you make $3 every day, so less than a Starbucks cup of coffee, then at the end of about 250 days, so less than a year, you have $100,000.
And that's with
Just
$100.
exactly,
Wow.
because this is where the eighth wonder of the world, as Warren Buffett called it, comes into play. And that's compound interest.
And that's
Because
right. That's where, because you start with $100, but then the next day you're getting interest on $103, and then you're getting interest on whatever 3% is going to be of $103. I'm not going to do the math because, well, I graduated from Garden City, Kansas high school. So, I mean, let's be honest here. Math wasn't my strong suit. So let's get to know you a little bit, Tanya. You are obviously from the French Canadian area of you're in Montreal.
correct,
Okay,
correct. Yes.
you're
So
in.
East Coast here.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, you're in the Eastern time zone. Um, and tell us about Montreal. What do you love to do up in Montreal?
So born and raised over here, and for those living in warmer climates, I still envy you. Don't think that when you're born and raised Canada, you love it anymore. But I have learned to love the outdoors. So, for example, in the winter time, it's a beautiful day when the sun is shining and the sky is clear and there isn't slush everywhere, and getting out into the wooded areas and enjoying that silence, that calm, the whiteness around you and the beautiful trees that are near you, that really makes my heart sing. And in the summertime, I mean, it's a lot nicer to see beautiful, prosperous trees and flowers all over the place. So there I might do some hiking in the summertime, but just getting out, enjoying nature with low impact physical activity. So I'm not the marathon runner, but I can walk for 5 miles, no problem. So that's what I love to do as a hobby. And in Montreal, you get a little bit of everything. You've got your downtown if you want that hustle and bustle of festivities or concerts or festivals, and then you have the mountains or hills, because I don't want to compare them to the Rockies by any means, but where you can enjoy that nature spot as well. So I guess you roll with the punches. You go with the weather as well. If it's raining, I obviously won't go up hiking. Might go indoors and enjoy this entertainment that the city offers, but trying to leverage these different scopes of life.
And this does not make me by any means an expert, but I watch a lot of hockey, and I know that every time my Devils go up to Montreal, first off, there's a huge connection there. The greatest Devil of all times is Martin Brodeur. His father was the official photographer for the Canadians for many, many, many years. So we got to always live that story. But every time that they show, you guys have certain celebrations different times a year that your city is just beautiful. I mean, and of course, I've seen it from a distance. I've seen it on TV. What are some of the things that you guys up there? Give us something that is exclusive to the Quebec region or Montreal. What is something that you guys do that is not really done anywhere else that you just love?
Well, for the we'll talk about the French element, because in Canada there's not so many provinces that have a huge French presence. So
Hmm.
for sure, the celebration of that culture, which happens around late June, would be a differentiating factor. And the way that's highlighted is there will be parades either in the city, or every borough or county might do their own parade where you have the vehicles and you have marching bands. But this isn't like a school doing the marching band. It could be the Girl Scout, or it could be maybe a association of some sort. And then often there'll be an artist who does an outdoor musical show, and then the city will have fireworks in order to offer that entertainment, highlight the independence. And then individuals can sit there, have a picnic. Usually it's later in the evening, so maybe more of those snacks like the candy and the chips with the cola. But that's something that purely, if you come visit, that is a staple, because you'll find the fireworks throughout the city over the summer months. And other elements that happen are there's a lot of events that happen near the old port, where the marina, the boats, the ships come and undock, and we have exhibitions sometimes there for grand sculptures of plants. Now, again, if you're in a too hot climate, you can't welcome that exposition because of the weather. So these would be things that would be appropriate to the Montreal scene or Quebec scene. And then let's not forget food, because Montreal certainly has its foodie side.
Yep.
And
Yep.
who says food in Montreal will obviously think of smoked meat and poutine, right?
Hmm.
So these would also be elements that if you want to come to the city, I mean, I wouldn't go to Chicago without having a deep dish pizza.
Right,
So
right.
that's what you could have in Montreal if you visit.
this is something that's always confused me, and I know that I'm getting a little political here, which I don't really like to do. What is the history of the Quebec, and like you mentioned, Canada, Saskatchewan and everywhere else is not, they're more Americanized than anything. You guys in the Quebec region, you guys have, obviously it's French Canadian there, but you guys are your mother country is England. What is the story to that? How did that I mean, it's so complex. It's so weird there because France and Canada, or I'm sorry, France and England, they've not been the best friends throughout the years. They haven't seen eye to eye. So it's one of those weird. And I've always wanted to ask somebody. So you're the lucky person who gets this. Can you tell me a little bit of the story behind how Quebec became so French? It got that the French feel, and how you guys are, but you guys are still run by Parliament and the King.
Absolutely. So it all started with the settlers, when they left. We go back to exploration. A lot of French individuals were coming to Canada, but at the time it was just the province of Quebec, so the province where Montreal is, and then Ontario, which is where Parliament is, and they have the Toronto city, which is
Yeah.
very financial, and that was Canada in the beginning. And because Quebec is so near the water that connects to the Atlantic Ocean, where everything was coming down, the French settlers established themselves there. Now, the reason the French stayed is because the king at the time sent their women in order to populate this new piece of land that they had acquired. So you had already French speakers now living here and reproducing themselves. So they would speak French to their children, even if they were married to an English speaker or a First Nation or what have you. So then you had the language being passed on from generation to generation. Now, with the language, given that Ontario was more English, it could do business with New England, for example, and the fur trade was really kicking up at that time, and log trading as well. And so that's where the money was starting to come through Ontario, and this is the reason the rest of the Canada provinces speak English as well, because of that international business. Now, Quebec, I can't tell you why specifically. We could probably chalk it up to, first arrival or pride or what have you, that, or maybe pride, whichever way you want to look at it, that I'm so proud to come from overseas, or I'm prideful because I was here, I want my language retained, whatever the case is. It just got anchored as a result. And then you had certain individuals who became very passionate about it, and it became what was known as a referendum in the 70s, where the province was legitimately divided of, do we go this side or that side? And so that divide still stays, even though decades have passed, but there's always that wink to the French heritage and culture. And look, it's not even a secret. Quebec considers itself the cousin of France.
Mm-hmm.
When artists tend to go from one country to the other. But nevertheless, I feel that the new generations are very bilingual. And I'll take myself for that matter. I have a relatively English first name, but a French last name.
Hmm.
I'm just lucky that, a certain toy company has a name similar to mine. But
Mm.
I am an example of the shift or the cohabitation that the two languages can have. Because you asked this before, tell us about yourself. Well, the community might be surprised to know that my first spoken language was French because of where I lived. However, my first written language was English because I went
Wow.
to English school in order to learn that language. So not everyone is just unilingual in French or English. We've got a huge bilingual community, and I'm kind of living proof of that.
How different is it? And then we're going to wrap it up after this, but is it like going from, let's go state to state or country to country when you go into somewhere like Toronto? Is it completely different? Is it like, wow, I just walked into a brand new world? Or is it just like, okay, well, I can see similarities, but this is different. It's like with me, you mentioned Chicago earlier. I went to Chicago when I was an over the road trucker. I got out of my truck. I was in a t-shirt and shorts. The sign said it was 40 degrees. I got out of my truck. I walked around my truck. I got back in and I dressed for winter because their 40 degrees is broken. I'm telling you, their 40 degrees is so cold. And here in Colorado, 40 degrees is t-shirt and shorts. We're perfectly fine. It's 27 degrees right now, and I was just out a little bit, with my dogs playing, and I'm wearing t-shirt and jeans. That's it, and it's not that cold. But if I were to walk in Chicago right now, I would be freezing my ass off. So it's kind of too, but the laws and the people are still, I mean, yeah, they talk a little funny, but you know so is it like walking into a different country or maybe just a different state?
Well, for the weather, since you brought it up, definitely anyone traveling from the US, even if you live in Montana, you might understand Canadian winters. But if you're from another part of the country, even people from Ohio, they're like, you are next level cold. So, in that respect, it would be maybe a culture shock on that front. So, if you visit, check the weather before, and to your point, maybe add a couple of degrees up or down to mitigate for the change. When it comes to language, if an American individual was to come to Canada, they would fit in very well in Toronto, for example. Ontario is super Americanized because it touches the US border on several points. You've got Gananoque kind of touching, then you have Buffalo, New York,
Yep.
super close. You got
Less
Detroit.
than an hour away. Less than an hour's
Absolutely.
distance.
And so that many individuals will also switch from one country to the next on the flip of a dime. If you come to Montreal, it is high tourism, so English is predominantly spoken. It's more if you start going towards the water, where there it's more francophone. However, again, with the evolution of time, people have learned the language. But in terms of fitting in and feeling at home, I would say that belt, we call it the Southern Belt. That's where you would have the most immersive experience because the two cultures really come together. But in terms of food, I think we're very similar. Heck, half of our produce comes from America anyway. So what you eat back home, you'd probably eat here.
Well, just to let you know, the French Canadian experience has dropped into the US a little bit because I was in Vermont and uh, and making a delivery into Vermont. And it was so funny because I'm sitting there and I saw my first ever moose crossing sign. Kind of
Oh,
freaked me out a little bit. And I live in Colorado. We got tons of moose. but we don't have moose crossing signs. We have deer crossing signs. And so I see a moose crossing sign and I'm like, oh, holy cow. And then all of a sudden, still in Vermont, the signs, one side you saw English, the other side you saw French. And I was like,
Oh,
wow, and it really caught me because it was like going, holy cow, I am like almost in a different world here. It's like we're crossing something that I'm seeing things that I would have never ever seen if I wouldn't have been an over the road truck driver. It was so cool because and that's the reason I asked that. If you go from one city to another, one state to another, there's always going to be differences, but I just wonder because of you guys' language, because of the heavy French dominant uh, lifestyle. If when you go into Canada or if you go into Toronto, you're sitting there going, holy cow, this is just way different. So,
absolutely. The road signs in Montreal would be primarily French. Thankfully, there's a lot of numbers, so if you're looking for highways, you can find your way. But in Ontario, they are highly bilingual, English and French, because Ontario is the country's capital that is in that province. So obviously, the language will span through the two. But in Quebec, indeed, if you are driving here, you might want to download those apps to translate things for yourself. But when it comes to interacting with people, that wouldn't be too problematic. But I hear you because from the north, you're having that French and English. And if you look to the south, Texas, Florida, very bilingual as well, but on the English and Spanish side, you know?
mm,
And it comes back, in my opinion, to what we started talking about in the beginning, inclusion,
yep,
making everyone feel welcome and understood and comprehensive. Because if I don't know where I'm going or what's happening, I feel confused and lost and not welcome.
yep. And when I was in Laredo, Texas, that's one of the things that we saw is that then it started going into where road signs were in Spanish and other stuff. So, uh, Tanya Legault, thank you very much. Please give us your phone number so people can get a hold of you.
Yes, absolutely. So since we are in Canada, it is a maybe long distance call. So you can email us, and I'll give that in a second. But to call us, it's 450-500-6234. And if people don't want to incur that cost, they can email us very simply, info at toptierconsult.ca. If you forget all of that, Zach kindly showed you the contact form. You could just pop your question or message in there and we will get back to you.
You're also, and this is my bad because I was sick, you're also going to be able to find Tanya's information on www.communitypayitforward.us/top tier consulting. So, and you're going to be able to touch the button and it's going to allow you to email her immediately and get to her and you can find out a little bit more. Look, this is a time in America where, yeah, we might have some trouble coming, but wouldn't it be nice if you knew that, what, I made an investment, it's building, and I've got something. And we're not waiting for our government, because I don't know if your government's anything like ours, but our government to make sure that their money gets put where they want it to be before you get money. And that's what we found out about the stimulus. So let's do some smart financial decisions. Tonya, the website one more time.
It is www.toptier, as we can see on the background, consult.ca.
Yep. And if you put in top tier consulting, it's going to take you to a medical supply place. So just remember top tier consult.ca. And the CA
Exactly.
is very important. So Tanya, my dear, thank you so much for everything that you do for us. Keep keep spreading the word, and we're going to get this going. And thank you very much for educating us on this. Like I said, this is something that not a lot of people know about. Unfortunately, the one thing that we always hear is, how twisted and uh, a lot of times, just how bad investing can be. We hear about banks crashing and all this other stuff. And so I know people are scared to put their money in stuff like this. It's wonderful to have you come on and explain things a little bit to us. And I would invite you to come on and do this more often. Let's do this a couple times a year, and we can kind of keep people up to date on non-biased. You don't give a damn who's the president in the United States. Truthfully, I don't either, because I'm going to vote for the best, for the best of the worst. So the one that lies the best, I guess, and promises things that he cannot discover. But it's nice to get the news from somebody who's not, just interested in what's going on in the country, and seeing things from a different perspective. So let's go ahead and let's do this a little more often, okay?
Sounds great. Perfect.
Thank you, my dear. You have a great day. We're going to be back and have some more fun. So thank you very much, Tanya.
Thank you for having me, Zach.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.